All right, welcome into this week's edition of the Fox Weather ROWI Report. I'm Ian Oliver, joined by Dr. ROWI himself, Jared Maloney. NFL Week 14 somehow, just fresh off of. We're not here to talk about the.
I was about to say there was a lot of entertaining things that happened last night. Ian, what was your favorite part?
Probably. I mean, that first quarter alone, jumping out to 17-0, watching the. I'm not here to pile on the G-men. It's been a tough season. It was more so how the Patriots played than how the Giants played. I like how they got out there, set the tone, showed a national audience that this team's for real.
All right, that's very nice and generous. You're not going to talk about Jackson Dart getting blown up. You're not going to talk about Younghoe Koo chunking the ball.
No, he hit it a little fat. He took a little carpet, a little too earthy with that. But Jackson Dart, I like. He just needs to. I know in his post game he said, "This is how I play." If he wants to play for more than a couple more seasons, he's gonna have to make some business decisions. So again, I'm a fan of his, but.
Very kind of you. Very kind of you, Ian. All right, so let's get into Week 14 here. Look across the country, Ian. What's standing out to you?
So we'll get started. Typically, we're not talking about games in domes like Ford Field because the ROWI is effectively zero. It's a climate-controlled environment. Wanted to talk about Thursday night football because we've got this front that sweeps across the Great Lakes as we move into the second half of this week. And this is the front that has Arctic air behind it. We're talking about record-breaking low temperatures in a bunch of different metros. It's a good thing for your boys, Jared, who did America a favor on Thanksgiving. There's probably the most people rooting for the Cowboys on a turkey day in like 25 years. Everybody should be glad that game's being played indoors because we're expecting temperatures just in the teens and dropping throughout that one.
Yeah, and our first game that we're going to take a look at is the remnants of it on Sunday, Bears-Packers. Even with fairly, no rain or snow, I should say not rain, no snow expected, winds fairly low. These are pretty brutal temps getting down.
Yeah, and squeaky wheel gets the grease. I've been complaining all season. I see that the ROWI graphics new and improved with the records, and you look at the Chicago Bears record, 9-3. I mean, this is a serious team, and I think they showed that going back to Turkey Day as well. This should be a good one.
I think the thing to keep in mind with this is when you get temperatures this low, your rushing efficiency actually goes up, especially once you get below the teens. So Chicago with the revamped running offense looks pretty well suited for the cold.
Yeah, and is Jacobs banged up still? I know he left. He came back. It's an ankle, right?
I think he's supposed to play.
Yeah.
So he should be fine to go for Green Bay.
Yeah. To your point, I know you ran through decades of NFL analytics. The running game into this part of the season. It's meteorological winter. It's December. The hits hurt. That's why we know the effectiveness of big backs oftentimes in the second half of these games that are played in cold temperatures. You notice the ROWI goes up to a medium. That would be more so for, call it the fourth quarter of this game with those temperatures in the low teens, maybe.
Just dropping through the game. The one thing that's really saving this one is the winds are fairly calm. Because even if the winds were as 10 miles per hour, this is all medium ROWI level. And then even going into, you could even push towards like a high level ROWI, depending on how low that wind chill gets. That's really the only saving grace here. That and the lack of precip.
Yeah, I mean, you look at that wind direction, still out of the north. It's light, but it's probably, it's probably still enough to get this down into the single numbers for a feels like temperature.
Yeah, and so let's go on to that's our coldest game of the week. So let's move on to some of the other ones that are still going to be fairly cold too, but to have some other concerns here. Cleveland and Tennessee. This is kind of a toilet bowl, but both exciting things for both teams. Two rookie quarterbacks going at it, Shedeur and Cam Ward. We are looking at for this game here, so even though the temperatures are a fair bit higher than they are in Green Bay, they're still fairly low. They're at that upper range where you start to see that trend shift between where rushing becomes a little bit more efficient and passing becomes a little bit less efficient. The things to note here is you have a slight chance of some snow flurries coming down, which is what bumps that precipitation impact a little bit higher, that snow impact. And then you also have slightly more elevated winds. So these winds are going to combo with the low temperatures to make kicking really hard from far distances. So this is going to be very much you need to drive further down the field than you would otherwise to go and get points, even with how good kickers have gotten lately.
Yeah, besides last night, obviously. But yeah, you look at it's interesting that these temperatures are 15 degrees milder than what we were just talking about with the Bears and the Packers. But because the wind is up into that threshold, as you said, we have more of this game in the medium ROWI. So that'll be interesting. Sub-freezing, the whole thing, the whole contest we're expecting. But yeah, with that breezy wind, northwest, that'll be a big factor, no question.
Yeah, and both of these teams have kind of struggled offensively throughout the year, so you're probably going to see more of that continuing through this game. All right, so the next we have the Bengals and the Bills in Buffalo, another fairly cold game. We have a ROWI just below the medium threshold of 3.0, so we could see it, depending on how the wind, tick up just a tad. Right here in the mid to upper 20s. Ian, what are you feeling here?
I liked what I saw from Joey Burr, fresh back from the injury. This is probably for the Bills about as much of a must-win game that you could possibly have with an 8-4 record. It feels like a week 8-4 based on what's been playing out as of late. So and that's not really representative of the Bengals either. The 4-8 record.
No, I mean with how competitive, or say how the lack of competition there is in the AFC North, the Bengals are actually very much alive. The Bengals are closer to winning their division than the Bills are winning theirs. Seriously.
Yeah, they're just like a couple games back in the loss column.
They're 2 games back of the Steelers and Ravens, and both the Steelers and Ravens are really not feeling themselves right now. So Buffalo needs to win to stay above Houston, who is 1 game back and has the head-to-head tiebreaker. And unlike college football, that actually matters here.
Yeah. We'll save commentary on the Ravens for that game coming up. But yeah, I actually think this should be a good one. And based on how things have gone lately, don't count out the Bengals.
I was about to say, with the winds here, the winds are slightly elevated here, especially compared to that Green Bay game. Do you have any concern with the passing offenses here? Because the passing offenses are strong for both teams.
Yeah, not with those two. I mean, you got 2 cannons, and you've got, there's Jamar Chase on one side. You got some studs. But the running game, I guess, to your point, and the analytics would say James Cook. That should be a good look as we move into this game. We should also point out, I'm surprised we made it this far into it. Week 14 is the final week of the fantasy football regular season. There are a lot of folks that absolutely have to win, and in some cases they have to win and score a bunch of points to make up the tiebreaker in that scenario. So this one could have points.
I wouldn't bench anybody that you're really concerned about in this game. Both these teams do have fairly strong offenses. Even there have been complaints with the Bills, like lack of weapons for some times, but the offense still gets going. It still scores points.
Oh, yeah.
So Josh Allen, don't worry about him. Joe Burrow shouldn't worry about him. Jamar Chase, and your assorted options, if you have to go, James Cook, Chase Brown, you're probably fine with them as well. Yeah,
I got Chase Brown in my lineup, so he's been back on the uptrend, so I'm going to need one. There's the Bucks, Saints. Saints kind of had a rough go of it last week. This one's a low ROWI. It's
a low ROWI with some rain, though, so it's at that high edge there for light rain and little wind impact. So this could easily bump up to a medium as well.
This is the tail end of what we're calling the Gulf Soaker. We've been talking about this on Fox Weather. Yeah, it's kind of this messy pattern that sets up, although a few showers, temperatures in the low 70s. Haven't seen a lot of games at Ray J. I mean, that's pretty comfortable as long as it's not pouring.
Yeah, so we have that low ROWI here. Is there any concerns with any fantasy options, especially on the Bucks? I know they've been really banged up. So
Bucky Irving's back. I'd have a concern if you're playing Bucky Irving in Week 14.
So you're saying Bucky Irving is going to win you a championship or get you to the playoffs?
Bucky is one of those guys that could be a league winner. I got JSN and Rashee Rice.
All right.
That's a couple of them right there. I wish I had Bucky Irving. So, yeah, he looked good, back healthy last week, and that should be good conditions right there in Tampa for him to feast.
Yeah, so we got going up further north in Florida, heading to Jacksonville, keeping an eye on some rain as well. A little bit less here in the forecast than we have for Tampa, but still the same philosophy holds. Both these teams are fighting for the AFC South. Do you think the rain is going to help one or the other team, or is it just too light to really matter all that much?
Indy has to have this one. I mean, they were way out in front. The Jags have looked pretty good. They pick up Jacoby Myers at the deadline. He's on my bench. He scored like 3 of the last 4 weeks. I'm like, I need to make that call. This should be a good one. And Jared, I'm honestly not sure which way this game. To me, this game's a pick'em, and I'm not sure that. I know JT. You would say maybe some of the wet weather plays in there. ETN didn't do much last week.
In theory, you would have they would favor ETN slightly more. ETN's been very up and down. I've had him in one league this year.
Yeah.
But for the rest of it here, weirdly enough, Indianapolis has struggled winning in Jacksonville over the past 15 years. They've gotten clobbered most of the time, even when they've had the much better team. This time it feels like, this is a new Indy team. The ghosts of the past feel.
What is this going back to Peyton?
This is going back to the Andrew Luck era, and then forward.
Blake Bortles.
They had a 9-year streak where they didn't win in Jacksonville, or maybe off the top of my head it was. I actually, don't quote me on that. I'm gonna go figure this out right now.
It's a division game. Playing division games are tough. It's the same story even in the Brady era. They'd go down to Miami in December, and the Dolphins would play them tough. Buffalo's always good. It's a division game. That's kind of why we stick around. It's part of what makes the long season so great, is that the games just count more when we get to this stage, and this will be one of those, no question.
No, yeah, and through here, I would say fantasy-wise, you got your options like Alec Pierce is sort of like a borderline guy. I'm not too scared if you're forced to start him there. Jacksonville's receiving options have been kind of weird all year, so
yeah,
nothing really changes pro or away in that one. So Ravens and Steelers, the two struggle buses, they want to fire their longtime Super Bowl winning head coaches on both sides here. How are we feeling? How terrible are the vibes?
I don't think Lamar has scored double-digit fantasy points in a month.
It's been bad.
It's at least 3 weeks.
When he came back from injury, I had one league where I needed to go on a big winning streak, and I thought Lamar coming back was going to save me, and it didn't work out.
No, you got a fresh L for you.
Fresh L, and that. So that league is done. It's cooked, totally wasted. But Lamar is still a start your stud philosophy.
Yep.
With the value of having a rushing quarterback in fantasy football, you can't turn away with him. Pittsburgh on the other end.
Is Rodgers going to play in this one? He's 3 fractures in his wrist?
I don't know why he would even want to play at this point.
Yeah. Well, you said it. That division is up for grabs.
It's up for grabs. I could tell. I was in Pittsburgh and I was listening to the Pittsburgh local radio over the weekend. The vibes have never been worse.
You think Mason Rudolph gives them a better chance to win?
I don't necessarily. Maybe with broken hand Rodgers, maybe he does.
Yeah.
But as a whole, I think the vibes are just terrible. I think Pittsburgh is just very depleted, very defeated.
They got to tighten up.
They're 6-6. They're
right in the mix.
You have current players fighting with former players on Twitter.
Hey.
It's a mess. It's a disaster right now.
Fix it. You're right there.
You are right ahead of them, but people are done. They booed Renegade. When they played Renegade, they fired up. The fans booed it last week.
Having three breaks in your wrist, that can't feel good when it's cloudy and dreary. You got a north wind. The temperature's 40 degrees. But this is why he went there. He wanted to right the ship, fix the legacy after what was a pretty gross stretch with the Jets for a bunch of reasons. They're 6-6.
They're still
and the division's right there.
Lead. The winner of this game will be in first place in the AFC North. Fantasy wise, though, these conditions probably doesn't change anything based on what you're if you have Zay Flowers, you're probably benching him regardless. Even though I think weather-wise, the pass catcher should mostly be fine in that game. It's really the other factors that are more dominant.
These aren't meteorological things as much as
I would say that the meteorological factors are low enough for the Ravens Steelers so that you don't have to worry about that. It's the other concerns that you should have. And then Dolphins Jets is a similar story here in terms of Miami. You don't necessarily like a South Florida team going in the cold, even if it's not brutal and frigid like it's going to be at MetLife on this Sunday.
Start Achane, start Brees Hall.
Start
keep it
Achane,
moving.
start Brees Hall. That's what you got. Waddle, maybe not, depending on what your options are. I think I'm going to start Waddle this week. I got Jawan Jennings on bye, so I got to slot him in my league that still matters.
This one's toeing the line of becoming a medium ROWI. Texans, Chiefs. This should be a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Are the Chiefs cooked?
No, I don't think the Chiefs are cooked whatsoever. Their metrics are still pretty solid. How they measure what the generally the predictive metrics of who is going to be good, why the Chiefs are still favored money line in games like this here is their underlying offense is actually weirdly enough better than it was last year. They're just losing all of the one-score games where they had ridiculous luck last year.
Denver won an OT though, so that put Denver to what? 10-2?
Denver winning an OT saved them for the division. They should be totally good because the Chiefs can only get to 11-6.
So KC needs a wild card spot.
KC needs a wild card spot,
which means they have to win this game.
I think this is a must-win for Kansas City. I think Kansas City is not done. I think they're good enough to run the table. They have to run the table, and they're a team that is used to these conditions here. If anything, this should.
So you're saying 11-6 gets them in?
I think 11-6 gets them in.
Yeah, I would agree.
10-7, I will probably because they lost to the Bills, they lost to the Texans, they lost to the Jaguars. All these teams in the wild card race, the only one they will come head to head is the Colts, who they beat.
Right.
Everyone else, they cannot be tied with them. So I think 11-6 is the number for Kansas City. And, their defense has been so amazing this year. They've been absolutely fantastic. The offense has struggled at times, but it seems to have gotten a little bit better. And now they get C.J. Stroud back in. He's getting, ready to go.
He's looked better.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. So we got a game that's sub-freezing throughout. Again, it's December football that we're talking about. We get a couple games with a medium ROWI. This one kind of toeing the line. A lot of good matchups, and that's to be expected as we get to this point in the season. So this is Tuesday. We always couch it. We'll have an update for you in the ROWI report coming up. Steve's out today. He'll be back tomorrow, talking about Wednesday, with everything you need to know for the college ROWI report, where if anyone sees Bob Van Dillen, give him a hug.
He's struggling. You know what? Ole Miss, as of now, we're going to find out if they're still going to be in the playoff picture tomorrow or if they Florida State them and kick them out for losing their coach.
It's been a tough week to be an Ole Miss New York Giants fan for Bob Van Dillen. So just, like I said, give him a hug, send him a nice little tweet, wishing him well. It'll go a long way. He needs it.
All right. Well, it was wonderful talking with you today, Ian, and everyone. Take care and see you for the next episode.
Yeah, check us out, ROWI Report, everywhere you listen to your favorite podcasts.